Right now, you are holding a device that contains the sum total of human knowledge. You could learn a new language by Thursday. You could launch a business before the weekend. You could reach out to anyone, anywhere, in any time zone, right now, in the next 30 seconds. And yet, here you are. Not quite sad, not quite happy, just hollow. Somewhere between the endless scroll and the motivational quote you saved but never read. There is a question that keeps circling back. Quietly at first, then louder. Then so loud it wakes you up at 3 a.m. What is the point of my life? This question, this specific, agonizing modern question, is being called one of the great existential crises of the 21st century. Therapists hear it daily. Philosophers have built entire careers trying to answer it. Self-help books have made billions promising they hold the solution. But here is the strange thing. The truly strange thing. This is not a question our ancestors ever asked. Not once. Not in 40,000 years of human history did a single person sit in a cave and spiral into an identity crisis about whether they were living their best life. So what did they know that we have forgotten? And what did we gain in losing it? Let's start with the assumption most of us carry without ever examining it. We assume that prehistoric humans had no time for an existential crisis. They were too busy surviving, hunting, fleeing predators, fighting for warmth, for food, for another day. No time to wonder about passion, no time to question purpose. And that assumption is correct, but not in the way you think. They didn't have time to wonder about their purpose, because their purpose was already there. It arrived every single morning, uninvited and undeniable, the moment they opened their eyes. Feed the children, find the water, keep the fire alive, don't let the cold win tonight. Their purpose was not a concept, it was not a vision board, it was not a 5-year plan, it was immediate, it was physical, it was non-negotiable. And here is what that did to the mind. Meet the Hadza people of Tanzania. They are one of the last remaining hunter-gatherer communities on Earth. Their lifestyle has remained largely unchanged for tens of thousands of years, making them one of the most studied populations in anthropological research. And what researchers found quietly upended everything we thought we knew about the relationship between hardship and happiness. The Hadza work an average of 4 to 6 hours per day, not 10, not 12, not the 60-hour weeks that modern productivity culture sells as the price of a meaningful life. 4 to 6 hours of purposeful, physical, communal work. And the rest of the day, they sit together. They tell stories. They play with their children. They rest fully, without guilt, without the low-grade anxiety that resting is somehow wasted time. They are not burned out. They are not lying awake wondering if they chose the right path. They are not comparing their life to someone else's highlight reel. Now, the important question, is this because their lives are simpler? Is it because they are less intelligent, less aware? No. It is because they have something we have systematically, aggressively, and unknowingly dismantled: constraints. The Hadza don't wake up wondering what to do with their lives because their environment tells them. Not cruelly, not oppressively, but clearly. The river tells them where to go. The season tells them what to eat. The community tells them where they are needed. They don't lack free time. They lack unlimited choice. Their purpose is clear, immediate, undeniable. Ours is not. To understand why unlimited choice is making us miserable, we need to spend 30 seconds inside your brain. Specifically, inside a network neuroscientists call the default mode network, or, as I prefer to think of it, the part of your brain that cannot shut up. The default mode network activates when you are not doing anything specific, when you are not focused on a task, when you are not in physical danger, when you are not solving an immediate problem. It is the part of your brain that takes over during idle moments. In the shower, on a walk, staring out a window. And what does it do with that time? It turns inward. It begins to evaluate. Am I on the right path? Have I made the right choices? What are the people I respect thinking of me? What have I failed to become? It compares. It projects. It constructs elaborate simulations of alternate lives you could be living. And then quietly, persistently, makes you feel that the life you are living is somehow insufficient. Prehistoric humans had a default mode network too, identical neurologically to yours. But here is the critical difference. It almost never had the opportunity to run, because there was always something more urgent demanding their attention. A fire to maintain, a child to watch, a wound to treat, a storm to prepare for. The brain's restless, self-critical, meaning-seeking default mode was perpetually interrupted by the demands of the physical world. We removed those interruptions. We call it progress. And it is progress. Genuinely. But progress always has a shadow. In 2004, psychologist Barry Schwartz published a book called The Paradox of Choice. The central observation was simple and devastating. When a supermarket offered 6 varieties of jam, customers stopped, tasted, and bought. Satisfaction was high. Decision was easy. Then the same supermarket offered 24 varieties. More people stopped to look. Far fewer people bought. And the ones who did buy? They reported feeling worse about their choice than the people who chose from 6. More options, less satisfaction, more freedom, more regret. Now multiply that supermarket shelf by every dimension of your life. Career paths, creative pursuits, relationship structures, cities to live in, identities to inhabit, beliefs to hold, communities to join. In 1950, the average person in the Western world had access to, realistically, perhaps a dozen life templates. Farmer, tradesman, merchant, spouse, parent, maybe a few more if you lived in a city. Today, there is no number. We are not living in a supermarket of jam. We are living in a supermarket of entire lives. And every morning we wake up knowing that somewhere in that store, there is a jar we haven't opened. A version of ourselves we haven't tried. A path we passed without noticing. We are not lost because we lack purpose. We are lost because we have too many choices. Southern France, the Ardèche Gorge, 36,000 years ago. Someone walked deep into this cave, deeper than the light reached, deeper than safety suggested. They carried fire. They crouched against the cold stone wall. And then they did something that had never been done before. They placed their hand against the rock. They took pigment, red ochre, ground charcoal, into their mouth. And they blew. A handprint appeared on the stone, a negative space, the shape of absence that proves presence. No one asked them to do this. There was no commission, no audience, no algorithm to reward the upload. No one would give them a title for it. No one would follow them. No one might ever even see it. So why did they do it? Why? We call it art. We catalog it. We fly to see it. We write academic papers about what it means. But in that moment, in that specific, unrepeatable moment, it was not art. It was not expression. It was not culture. It was a person telling the universe the only thing that has ever truly needed to be said. I am here. I exist. This is my hand. This is proof. That person did not have a 5-year plan. They did not have a personal brand. They did not lie awake wondering if they were living up to their potential. They had a feeling so large it could not stay inside them. And they did the only thing available to them. They pressed it into the world. That is not the absence of purpose. That is purpose. And here is what we've gotten wrong. We have been treating purpose as something to be found, like it's buried somewhere, waiting if only we dig deep enough, meditate long enough, journal consistently enough. We have been taught that purpose is a destination, but that person in the cave did not find their purpose. They did not discover it during a retreat. They did not unlock it by reading the right book. They didn't find their purpose. They made one. With the materials in front of them in the moment they were standing in, with the hands they had. What we are missing is not purpose itself. What we are missing is the immediacy of it. Not what was I born to do, But right now, what needs these hands? Here is the genuine miracle of the modern world. You have options that no human being in history has ever had. You can choose who to love and how. You can choose what work to do and walk away from work that diminishes you. You can access ideas from every civilization that has ever existed. You can reinvent yourself at 40, at 60, at 73. That is not nothing. That is extraordinary. But the tragedy of radical freedom is this. When you remove the immediate, non-negotiable demands of survival, when you clear the field of every must, you are left with something our ancestors never had to face: the burden of an open horizon. We are the first humans in history who must construct our own constraints. We must choose our own urgencies. We must decide what is non-negotiable, because nothing is, structurally, non-negotiable anymore. And that is not a weakness. That is perhaps the central spiritual and psychological task of being alive in this century. The person in that cave did not escape the feeling of emptiness. The research on hunter-gatherer communities is clear. They experienced fear, grief, loneliness, restlessness. The default mode network fired for them too in the quiet hours, but they did not run from it. They did not scroll away from it. They did not optimize it or medicate it or reframe it into a productivity system. They followed it, all the way down into the dark, into a cave with fire and pigment and a wall of stone. And they pressed their hand against the world and said, "Here, you do not need to find your purpose. You do not need to finally figure out what you were put here to do. You do not need the right answer to the question that wakes you up at 3 a.m. You only need to notice what is in front of you, what is asking for your attention, what, right now, today, in this specific and unrepeatable moment, needs your hands. And then, press them against the wall.